quote from Pevsner or someone like that saying that it's one of the finest examples of neoclassical Victorian architecture in northern England.
Nicholas!
Coming and thinking of this. I hope people will come and have a look and say, yeah, it's what I thought was a Tudor house. And, oh, you can live in it. It doesn't have to be pickled. People do live in there.
I was probably the last apprenticed hand-frame knitter ever, myself. My father thought that if I was an apprentice it might delay my national service, but I'm afraid it didn't. I still have to go.
Heritage means
pride,
culture, values,
identity,
past,
purpose, meaning, unison, significance, cultural history, phenomenology. Probably more than three, but...
Have you ever wondered what was behind those closed doors in your area? From medieval cottages to modernist masterpieces, from the quirky to the majestic, the grand to the minute. This September, Heritage Open Days will be opening the doors to over 4,000 hidden and familiar places across England.
Welcome to 25 Bridge Street. My name is Jean Ezra. I've lived in this house 41 years. I love this part of Mid-Essex.
I'm her son, Nicholas. Gave me a sense of history to grow up in a house like this. You know, you do feel, how many little boys grew up here? What games did they play? To me, that's the story of the house, is very ordinary people doing very ordinary things. History is nothing without the story in history, to me. You know, who did this? It doesn't matter who it was, but just the thought that some guy was doing much the same as I'm doing now. Might have a mobile phone and stuff, but it's still, it was a Victorian guy or a Georgian guy or an Elizabethan guy just trying to earn a crust. And it's been going on for centuries. That to me is a story. And this whole house is important because it's just a story of what's happened around it, what's happened in it. It's family life carrying on.
The name of the company here is G.H. Hurt & Son. My name's Henry Hurt, and it was my grandfather that started this business in 1912. I used to write on a bit of paper at the end of the week to say how many shawls I'd done and how much I was to be paid. The only thing is that you were normally a bit generous with the amount of money that you put on the shawls. Anyway, this Friday night I was busy knitting to try and fill in the shawls that I'd already put on my pay slip. And Jeff the foreman came in when he saw me knitting late and he said, "Hey up Henry, are you addling your hogs?" I said, "Sorry Jeff, I wasn't quite sure what you mean." "Are you addling your hogs?" And what he meant was, "Are you earning your hogging money?" I had hogged it by putting too many down, so I was earning my hogging money. And that apparently was a tradition of the industry for hundreds of years. And that was interesting, that I was party to a tradition that had gone on for a long time.
Welcome to Leeds Town Hall. We're now in the Victoria Hall, which is the main sort of centrepiece hall of the building and the bit that kind of the majority of the members of the public get to see. Primarily a concert hall at the moment. Some of its other functions have been a bit more sort of dark and grisly. We have a surviving courtroom here. At its height it had about 15 courtrooms around the building, with 15 courts in session at any given time, and we reckon maybe kind of 84 people sentenced to death here over the course of the time that was used for that purpose. The condemned prisoners would have been taken down here to spend, perhaps not their last night, but their last time outside the walls of Army Jail, where they would have finally gone to the gallows. This is the first of the 220 steps which go all the way up to the top of the iconic clock tower. It's fantastic to see the clock movement in the inside of the tower, but most spectacular when you open the doors and go outside and see some fantastic views over the city of Leeds.
Heritage Open Days is very special because it gives people everywhere an opportunity to see a lot of things that they've been curious about in the past but haven't had the opportunity to get into.
It's history, but it's a bit more than that. It's the people as well.
You need to know where you've come from.
You know, it's really citizenship in action on all sorts of different levels.
Perhaps 3 words is celebrate, celebrate, celebrate.
With over 40,000 volunteers and 1 million visitors every year. Don't miss this once-a-year chance to get behind those closed doors, and all free of charge.